So to start, I want you to bring to mind the color purple, an alligator, and the moon. And what I want you to do by the end of this video is to have figured out what these three things have in common. The color purple, an alligator, and the moon. Now, hi, I am Mystic, and I'm here introducing myself every day. This is day number 4 as I try to find my tribe. I was a designer for 25 years. I left my career last year. I started out in advertising. I got into product design. I don't know, I had an incredible journey over the years that I never expected to have. And I left it last year because I had found myself at the pinnacle of my career and at the same time in an environment that was just dysfunctional, toxic. And I started asking myself, what the fuck am I doing? I think I'm here for something else. And that's kind of what I wanted to touch on today, is the idea of feeling like you're deep in a career that you've worked very hard on for maybe a lot of years, maybe decades, and you just feel called to something else. That's how I felt for a long time. And I doubted myself a lot in my career. I think when you get into a career, it can kind of feel like you have blinders on and you don't realize it. And it seems like the next step is already defined for you. And the truth is there are an infinite number of next steps and things you can do. So what do the color purple, a crocodile, and the moon have to do with each other? Well, absolutely nothing. And that's the point. Because what a career often is an unsolvable puzzle. And if you're a smart person, which you are if you're still watching this, you may have this kind of propensity to want to solve whatever problem is in front of you, right? Someone gives you a problem, they say, figure out what this means. You want to use your mind because your mind likes problems, as does mine, and is immediately going to spring to action and say, ooh, I think I can figure out the answer. Well, it's kind of a metaphor for a career. A career is sort of like a problem that gets put in front of you, and you can spend decades trying to solve that problem, and you might have some rewards, some powerful, profound learning experiences. There might be some incredible things that happen in your career, as happened in mine. But when you take a step back and look at it as a kind of in the big picture, it's sort of like you can see it as if you spent many years trying to solve an unsolvable puzzle. I'll try and articulate this better maybe in another video, but it's the idea that we might keep plugging away, trying to get at a deeper level of something that doesn't actually exist. The way we might be determined to get ahead, climb a ladder, want to find more ways to have more impact or affect a culture in a particular way. And a lot of the time we're trying to do things that are impossible, but we're driven to do them because we're smart and we're ambitious and we like to solve problems. But eventually what winds up happening is you burn yourself out, which is what happened to me. Then you get to a point where you're like, you know what? This isn't for me anymore. So the moral of this story is, if your mind is fixated on trying to solve a problem, whether that problem is a challenge in front of you in your career itself, or some other major problem in your life, and working on that problem isn't lighting you up, because that's the key, is that working on the problem should be rewarding in and of itself. And it shouldn't be all about, when I solve this problem, then I'm going to get the rewards. You're working on the right problems when, I'll just say the same thing again, you're working on the right problems when the act of working on those problems is rewarding in and of itself. And so that's the key. So I think, the moral of this story is, think about the problems you're focused on. Think about if you're just focused on solving problems because they're the problems that are in front of you and the problems that someone else has presented to you, like the moon, the crocodile, and the color purple. And if the problems that you're focused on aren't the problems that your heart and your soul and your spirit most want to be engaged in solving, then this is a reminder that there are an infinite number of problems to solve with your skills. And the way to achieve extraordinary success, I will say, or even just the next level of success, it's not always to solve the problem that's in front of you, but to find the problems that you uniquely were put here to solve. So hope you found that helpful. I will be here every day, and thanks for dropping by. I'm the Midlife Mystic, and I'll see you soon.